got some more Broncos news to get to today. If Russell Wilson's mega contract extension was not enough, GM George Paton decided to, add to the DB room a little bit by signing Darius Phillips. So we'll be breaking down that signing and the release of Essang Bassey, who was cut as a corresponding move. So a lot to get to here on today's show. Sorry if I seem a little stiff. I woke up with one of those horrible pains in your neck, slept funny, and now I can't look any direction left or right. But the first one reporting the news here was Mike Klis saying the Broncos have signed cornerback Darius Phillips for their active 53-man roster. He was with the Bengals. We'll look at some of his stats from his time over there. He was most recently released by the Raiders, did not make their 53-man roster. I talked to our Raiders Report host Mitchell Renz here at Chat Sports and said, hey, what's the that hurt a ton. What's the cliff notes here on Darius Phillips? He said he didn't really make much of an impression in the preseason. The Raiders opted to go with the UDFA instead, who made some more splash plays instead of the veteran Phillips. So ultimately, the Broncos decide, you know what? Essang Bassey is just not going to cut it in terms of adding some extra depth with Michael Ojemudia going to short-term IR and Damari Mathis kind of being the next corner off the bench for the Broncos. So Phillips, a former day 3 pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, played 4 seasons over there before signing with the Raiders in free agency this offseason. Off and on with the Bengals, you look at his career stats, this is more of a special teams move, in my opinion, than anything else. Phillips, for example, has some experience in the return game. Now, Montreal Washington has that job locked up, but Darius Phillips can help and substitute if needed over there. But more importantly, the Broncos decided we just need a little bit more of a veteran presence in the secondary room here. Now, I want you guys to grade the signing for me. What do you think of this move? It's an A, a B, C, D, or F. It's hard to really feel that strongly about a player who is not going to have a huge role on this team early on if everyone is healthy. But I'll give it a C+, right? I think it's maybe a little bit above average because this cornerback room definitely needed some assurance to it, okay? I don't think this cornerback room is teetering on the line of about to fall off a cliff due to one injury. Damari Mathis has looked great. He did not make this roster just because he was a 4th-round pick. He also made it because he's looked great so far in preseason. So I'm not all that concerned if he were to be tossed into battle, how he would fare. So that is the latest news over there. I'm also wearing my Tennessee Vols jersey today. College football is back. Not just wearing it for Peyton Manning or Al Wilson, but hey, let me know who your college squad is down below in the comment section. We got some practice squad news to get to really quickly before we take a deeper dive at the Russell Wilson contract extension now that I'm in the studio and out of my kitchen. So these are some of the moves that got made yesterday. It's a list 4, don't worry. Yep. And here was the more recent signing made by the Broncos just earlier this morning. Poor Will Sherman. He is like, this is my day in Broncos news, and Russell Wilson makes a big signing and cucks me. But Will Sherman joining the list here on the Broncos practice squad, along with Kongbo, Jaquan McMillian, and Faion Hicks, the 7th-round pick out of Wisconsin. So that means the Broncos, by my calculations, unless I missed someone, I don't think I did, 2 open spots left. You get 16 spots on the practice squad. 10 go to players who have occurred less than, or accrued, whatever the word is, less than 3 seasons. 6 veterans. Josh Johnson, for example, taking up one of those veteran spots right there. Let's get to the Russell Wilson side of the story now. So he signed the big contract extension, which, no big deal. I did my Russell Wilson contract predictions. I predicted 5-year, 265, whatever it was, and that indeed was the number we landed on. So that puts it out to 245. What did I say, 65? Sorry, neck really hurts today. 5-year, $245 million, okay? That puts him second in terms of the average salary at $49 million, right ahead of Kyler Murray, right behind Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't really count because he got like a 3-year deal. He should be in prison too. Now, let's look at the guaranteed money, because this is what everyone's looking at these days. Russell Wilson behind Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's guaranteed money is a little funky. You can maybe count it as 160. I put it at 189. Deshaun Watson at 230, right ahead of Rodgers and then Josh Allen as well. I like the move a lot. For one big reason, maybe more than just the fact that you locked up the guy you knew you were going to keep forever, right? Now, this contract could be renegotiated in like 5 or so years because he already had a couple of years left on his current deal. So the reason why I like it the most, though, is that you beat Lamar Jackson. Something I talked about this morning in my kitchen for all of you guys that tuned into our first show. You knew that the NFL would just be a one-upping league, and you had to beat Lamar Jackson to the punch. So now Lamar, when he meets with the Ravens front office, is going to say, what did Russ get, 245? Give me 250. I want more. So the Broncos, sure, they spent a lot of money, but who are we kidding? The NFL is always going to go up. The salary cap's always going to go up. Salaries will always go up. I mean, for example, when the Browns gave Deshaun Watson $230 million, that was astronomical. Now he's falling down the depth chart. Right now he's falling down the top 5 highest paid. In a couple of years, not even a couple, 1 or 2, once Joe Burrow gets a huge contract, probably the biggest in NFL history from the Bengals, that poverty franchise is going to hate doing that. So I like this move a lot. Now, I also found this tweet from a Seahawks reporter pretty interesting. I wanted to share it with you guys. Make no mistake, says Greg Bell, Russell Wilson's new mega deal with Denver is why Russell Wilson is no longer the Seahawks quarterback. I think Greg is spot on. The Seahawks didn't want to pony up, didn't want to spend $250 million, and said, let's just sell high. Let's get as much as we can for him and hope we can hit on one of these 2 first-round picks or a second-round pick, because next year's QB draft is going to be loaded, and with Drew Lock, tank commander, although it's criminal they're starting Geno Smith, they're going to finish towards the bottom, and they're going to shoot for a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud and reset a little bit and go cheap with the QB and not give $245 million. So I want to bring this trade back up one more time, and I just want to gloat. I just want to dunk on Seattle because they wouldn't do it. It's not that they didn't think he was worth the money. He's worth it. They just didn't want to cash that check, right? They didn't want to sign that blank check right there. So I'm expecting to see a lot of DENs in the comment section for the Denver Broncos. Let me know who you think won this trade. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in for our second Broncos breakdown of the day. If you haven't already, subscribe and let's ride.